You've probably never sat down and defined what intelligence actually means, and yet you recognize it instantly. In class, it's the student who answers first. In meetings, the one who speaks with certainty. In conversations, the one who explains things effortlessly. We don't think about it. We just decide they're smart. They're not. Somewhere along the way, most of us absorbed the same quiet belief that intelligence is one thing, a single scale, a number, something you either have more of or less of. But if that were true, something doesn't quite add up, because you've probably seen it. The person who was brilliant in school but struggles to handle people, and the one who was average on paper yet somehow makes better decisions, reads situations faster, understands life in a way that's hard to explain. So what exactly are we measuring? Psychology has been slowly moving away from this one-dimensional view. It captures one side of intelligence while missing the rest. The human mind doesn't operate on a single track. It uses different systems: logic, language, emotion, perception, reflection, each shaping how we think, act, and understand the world. Which means what we've been calling intelligence might only be one visible layer of something much deeper. And if that's true, because what we've been calling intelligence is only one layer, and there are at least 6 others that most of us never notice. If you had to point to someone and say, that person is intelligent, there's a good chance you're picturing this type. The one who solves problems step by step, who sees patterns quickly, who can take something complex and break it down into something clean, logical, almost predictable. This is analytical IQ. It's the intelligence most of us grew up around. Maybe just exams, classrooms, even job interviews quietly reward it. Think about it. School was never just about learning. It was about how you processed information. Could you follow the structure, apply rules, arrive at the correct answer efficiently? And if you could, you were labeled smart. There's a reason for that. Analytical thinking relies heavily on structured brain networks, especially in the prefrontal cortex, where reasoning, planning, and problem solving happen in a controlled, step-by-step way. It's precise, reliable, measurable. But here's where it gets interesting. This type of intelligence works best in environments where the rules are clear, where problems have defined answers, where logic is enough. Real life rarely works like that. Because outside of exams and systems, problems don't always come with instructions. People don't follow logic. Emotions interrupt patterns, and suddenly the kind of intelligence that once seemed complete starts to feel limited. And yet, outside of controlled environments, intelligence starts to look very different. Some people don't just think, they talk their way through thinking. You hear it in the way they explain things. Clear, structured, almost effortless. They can take a messy idea and turn it into something that makes sense, not just to themselves, but to everyone listening. This is linguistic IQ. It shows up in conversations, storytelling, writing, even in arguments. These are the people who can find the right words at the right time. And because of that, they often sound intelligent, sometimes more than anyone else in the room. Many of them think in language. There's constant internal dialogue, replaying conversations, refining sentences, quietly narrating their own thoughts. For them, understanding doesn't come as an image or a feeling. It comes as words. Psychologically, this matters. Language doesn't just express thought, it shapes it. The way you describe. Something influences how you understand it, which gives linguistic thinkers a powerful advantage in communication-heavy environments. But there's a subtle illusion here, because sounding clear isn't always the same as thinking deeply. Sometimes fluency can hide gaps that only show up when words aren't enough. And that raises a different question. But not everyone thinks in words. And this difference changes how they solve problems in the real world. Not everyone thinks in sentences. Some people think in scenes. They don't explain ideas step by step. They see them all at once. A system, a pattern, a structure. It forms in their mind almost instantly, like seeing the city map in your mind before stepping outside. This is spatial visual IQ. You'll notice it in subtle ways. Someone who can rotate objects in their head without touching them, who navigates unfamiliar places without effort, who understands a complex idea faster through a diagram than a paragraph, for them, words can feel slow, even limiting. Cognitively, the brain processes visual information in a more parallel and holistic way. Instead of building meaning piece by piece, it assembles the whole picture at once. That's why these individuals often grasp complexity quickly, but struggle when asked to explain how they got there. You've probably met someone like this. They solve something in seconds. And when you ask, how did you figure that out? They pause, searching for words that don't quite match what they saw. In systems built around language, schools, meetings, conversations, this kind of intelligence often goes unnoticed. And that reveals something deeper. But intelligence isn't only about how you process information, it's also about how you understand people. Some people don't need words to understand what's happening. They walk into a room and immediately feel the shift, a slight tension in someone's voice, a pause that lasts just a little too long, a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. They prevent disasters before anyone even knows there's a problem. Nothing is said directly, but somehow they know. This is emotional IQ. It's the ability to read, understand, and regulate emotions, your own and other people's. And it shows up in ways that are easy to overlook, but hard to replace. In a conflict, it's the person who doesn't just argue, they de-escalate. In a conversation, it's the one who listens beyond the words. In leadership, it's the individual who keeps people motivated, not through logic, but through understanding. Psychologically, this matters more than we tend to admit. Studies consistently show that emotional intelligence plays a major role in relationships, decision-making, even long-term success. In unpredictable, human-centered environments, raw logic isn't always enough. And yet, this kind of intelligence is often misunderstood. It gets labeled as being sensitive or too emotional. But what's actually happening is much deeper. These individuals are constantly processing emotional data most people ignore. There's a cost to that, because when you're tuned into emotions this closely, you don't just notice them, you absorb them. The stress, the tension, the unspoken discomfort, it lingers, which makes this intelligence both powerful and quietly exhausting. And even this doesn't explain something more subtle. Why do some people not only feel and understand emotions, but step back and question their own thoughts entirely? Some people seem to navigate life as if they have a built-in map, not because they read more books or solved more puzzles or spoke the most eloquently, but because they learn by doing. This is practical IQ, the intelligence that thrives in the messy, unpredictable flow of real life. These are the people who fix things without an instruction manual, who read a room and respond instantly, who adapt to changing circumstances almost effortlessly. They may stumble in theory exams or struggle with abstract problems, but in the wild, chaotic world outside classrooms, they excel. Psychologists call this tacit knowledge. Insights and patterns learned through experience, repetition, and trial and error rather than formal teaching. Over time, it builds an intuitive understanding that feels almost automatic. It's the bridge between thinking and doing. While analytical IQ helps you plan and emotional IQ helps you navigate people, practical IQ ensures you actually get things done. It turns ideas into action, problems into solutions, and hesitation into results. Yet, this type of intelligence often flies under the radar. Schools, tests, and even some workplaces struggle to recognize it because it doesn't fit neatly into numbers or grades. So far, every type of intelligence explains how we think, speak, feel, or act. But there's one that does something very different. There's a type of intelligence you rarely see on a resume or even notice in conversation. It's not the sharp verbal skills of linguistic IQ, the spatial insight of visual thinkers, or the quick problem solving of practical IQ. It's something subtler, something almost invisible. This is metacognitive intelligence, the ability to think about your own thinking. People with this intelligence don't just react, they pause. They ask themselves questions that most of us never consider. Why do I believe this? Am I seeing the whole picture? Could I be biased? They notice assumptions hiding in plain sight, catch themselves before jumping to conclusions, and revise decisions after careful reflection. Even while learning, they monitor how well they understand not just what they know. Neuroscience links this to higher-level executive functions in the prefrontal cortex, self-monitoring systems that act like an internal editor, silently reviewing, critiquing, and refining thought. But here's why it's so rare. It demands effort. It feels uncomfortable. It slows decisions. It challenges ego, certainty, and habitual thinking. Most people instinctively avoid it because it's easier to act on autopilot. And yet, what looks like hesitation, overthinking, or self-doubt is actually cognitive refinement. While other intelligences focus on solving problems, metacognitive IQ improves how problems are solved. It's the intelligence that polishes every other type, sharpening judgment, insight, and understanding. And the reason this intelligence feels so uncomfortable is exactly what makes it so powerful. Think about the last time someone called another person smart. Chances are they weren't thinking about emotional insight, practical problem solving, or the subtle art of seeing patterns in 3 dimensions. They were judging verbal fluency, test scores, or academic achievement, forms of intelligence that are easy to see, easy to measure. Society has built systems around what's visible. Schools, hiring processes, even social recognition, reward analytical and linguistic IQ, because they fit neatly into metrics, grades, and evaluations. The other forms, emotional, practical, spatial, and metacognitive intelligence, operate quietly. They happen inside the mind, in social interactions, or in the ebb and flow of real-life decisions. You can't always quantify the person who senses tension in a room, navigates complex systems intuitively, or stops to question their own assumptions, yet these are the people solving problems most others don't even notice. This bias doesn't mean someone lacks intelligence, it means the system misrecognizes it. We misjudge what we can't easily see, and when we compare ourselves to standardized measures, we often miss our own strengths entirely. So maybe the real question isn't, how intelligent are you? It's, what kind of intelligence have you been using all along? This shift changes everything, from how you see others to how you understand your own potential. For most of our lives, we're taught to see intelligence as a fixed score, a number on a test, a grade on a report card, a label we carry from childhood. But what if intelligence isn't a single, rigid thing at all? What if it's more like a dynamic ecosystem, where different abilities, analytical, emotional, practical, spatial, and metacognitive, interact, overlap, and grow over time? Most people aren't just one type of thinker. We are combinations, unique blends of strengths and blind spots. Some of us excel at reasoning, while others navigate the emotional currents of a room effortlessly. Some solve problems in theory, while others thrive in the unpredictable chaos of real life. And yet, the most powerful layer of all is the one that often goes unnoticed. Metacognitive intelligence, the ability to step back, observe your own thinking, question your assumptions, and guide your mind intentionally. This self-awareness doesn't just make you smarter, it allows every other form of intelligence to evolve. The intelligence that matters most may not be the one you're naturally strongest in, but the one you choose to notice, refine, and develop. So the next time you measure yourself or someone else, pause for a moment, look beyond the obvious, reflect not just on the answers, but on the mind that arrives at them. Maybe intelligence was never about having the right answers, but about understanding how your mind arrives at them.